Speaking of foreshadowing, Pool D winners announced for the RBS Remedies stuff. So this was over on FinTech Futures. We had 5 winners in the latest RBS-derived funding round. Now, only if we had somebody who was part of the winners to potentially say what it means to them and accept this award on behalf of... How'd it go? Big week. I saw... Caroline posting great pictures of big bottles of champagne. Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah. So massive week for us. We're so very thrilled to have this opportunity and win this award. I mean, we know it's highly competitive and a lot of hard work went into it. And this funding means a lot to us in terms of our runway and where we can get to in terms of product and commercialization of our tech. So super exciting.
Very cool. And I read through the public commitments. You're committing to some really interesting things. Right. Do you want to talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, sure. So essentially what we're going to use the money for is 2 main things. So product development and then the sales side of things. So within product development, 2 main things. So actually, would it be helpful if I give a 20-second summary of what Fluidly does?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, great.
I mean, Caroline's great at doing the pitch. She's done this a few times, but definitely do it. Yeah.
Okay, so I will be nowhere as good as Caroline, but essentially we are a software that forecasts cash flow and it's an intelligent cash management software for SMEs. And so essentially, on the product side, we want to build 2 things. One is an Insights Actions Hub, which basically looks at the data of this SME and also benchmarking data across the industry, and tells them what in bite-sized pieces of information what you should do based on what you can see on the data. So, for example, if there's an HMRC tax bill coming up, we will say, "Oh, you're running out of cash. Maybe you should take out a credit." Or if you have excess cash, we'll say, well, maybe you should take out a savings product because you have this excess money and you can actually make a return on it. So that's the Insights and Actions Hub. And the other side of it is the financial marketplace where we're going to help you fulfill those actions. So credit products, saving products, and anything that would be helpful to SMEs.
Fantastic. I mean, it's definitely a great service because it's kind of getting in and ahead of the stuff that, I mean, small customers just bump into as problems right now.
Right.
You know, how do you manage cash flow? How do you manage finances generally? So,
exactly.
I mean, £5 million, that's going to go a long way to sort of help that. Alongside you guys, there was Codat, Form 3, Funding Options, and Swoop Finance, who were the other parts of the lucky winners. And this is part of the 775 million, damn, that's a lot of money, RBS State Aid Alternative Remedies package, which we lovingly refer to as the cruel and unusual punishment. But I mean, what do you guys think on this? 775 mil being dished out. I think the only one that we've still got to wait for is Pool C now. Weird that we did D before C, but I mean, who am I to challenge the alphabet, right? Yeah. But what do you guys think? Is this going to shape up how SME banking generally is done in the UK, or is this going to be, I mean, more of the same? What do you think?
Well, I really do like that there was a mix of the pools of funding. So we saw with Pool A, we had some real startup banks in there, but with Pool B, we had some traditional banks. It feels like it's been quite balanced, and perhaps the greatest opportunity is now there for the market to really do something interesting for small businesses that have frankly been woefully underserved historically. Small business bank accounts until quite recently were basically at the bottom end of the market, especially. We're just a retail bank account, but that you had to pay for the privilege. And a small business has all kinds of problems, like being able to, as you were saying, see that that tax bill that's coming, see that invoice that I might have missed that somebody should be paying me, see that I might not make payroll because there's a dip in my cash. Like all of these things that Fluidly and others do, but also some of the infrastructure stuff that supports businesses like Fluidly and others to do interesting things. I mean, whilst it was a cruel and unusual punishment for RBS, it has created a hive of activity. A lot of it possibly on PowerPoint, but a lot of it doing really interesting things and a good mix of people.
Yeah, it's a super interesting opportunity. We've had a few calls from businesses actually calling us up saying, RBS have offered us money to leave. Who should we move to? Are Starling legit? Who the is tied? And I think that's where the challenge comes from. And actually, my personal view that is, if the economy does dip over the next few months, most SMEs are going to go for the big brands and the big names that they've come to believe are more secure and more strong. So I think there is a window of opportunity, but it is potentially quite small.
What's exciting to see as well is this is driving true innovation in fintechs. When we've seen a number of fintechs actually rise up and receive substantial amounts of funding. And that's only going to be a good thing for the end customer. If you look at SMEs, their projections and their credit flow and just working day to day, if you're able to build a product which actually demonstrates how they can move forward, which better serves them, but not only that, then gives them an endpoint in which to purchase something, it's going to be a great output.
I mean, you've got 5 startups here giving away no equity to get £5 million. That's a wonderfully amazing thing. So being in a situation where essentially you've got that potential to, I know you're matching the investment, aren't you? But being in a situation where essentially you can double the investment potential into something you really believe in, that's phenomenal. So, I mean, it is weird how much good is coming out of something so weird, but I mean, I think it's going to be really amazing in the market. If you kind of, every indicator is that we're going to be going into a period where actually it's going to be harder to get capital than it is today, then, I mean, this sets up people really trying to do disruptive stuff in the SME space for years, which is great. Hopefully it lets everybody weather the winter, essentially.
On Thursday, as we record this, Mark Carney has come out and said that we're predicting sort of almost zero growth in the second half of the year in the UK. So,
cheers, Mark. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yay, optimism. But actually, that means this is really timely, because who are the first to feel that? It's often the small businesses. It's often the ones with cash flow problems. So the ability to not only have choice in bank accounts, but choice in lending providers, which especially as Pool C comes along, could be really well timed.
And I completely agree about the innovation point and the disruption, because if you look at the public commitments that have come through from pools A, B, and D, you can see how many SMEs are going to be impacted over the 3 to 5 years. And because this genuinely drives choice and competition in the market in new and innovative ways, I think this is really going to make a difference.
Okay, moving on to our next story.